Welcome to the Phoenix Project. My name is Jennifer, and I'm your host. Before we begin, this episode discusses domestic violence, grooming, mental health struggles, and suicidal ideation. If you are in crisis and need immediate support in the United States, you can call or text 988. You are not alone. Now, this is where my story begins. I was on the bottom bunk, not the top, the bottom, looking up at the wooden slats above me every night. It was a domestic violence shelter for women. I was there after a man I had been dating threw me up against a wall and choked me. He had choked my dog first, and then he threatened to have both of us killed. And something inside me shifted in that moment. Not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly. I knew I couldn't minimize that. I couldn't explain that away. That's how I ended up there, sharing a bunk bed in a shelter. I remember the smell of the room, laundry detergent mixed with old carpeting, the sound of women breathing at night, some crying softly, some completely silent, and I would stare up at that wood above me thinking, how did I end up here? I was educated, capable. I had a 17-year marriage under my belt. I had been a stay-at-home mom for years. I had built a life, and now I was here because I had tolerated things I never should have tolerated. I didn't feel superior to the other women. I felt ashamed that I had accepted scraps from men, ashamed that I had mistaken intensity for love, ashamed that I had stayed. And what scared me most was that I didn't trust myself at all anymore. Athena was with me, my service dog. She had to stay with me at all times. The bathroom, the kitchen, outside. There was a small fenced area where I would throw the ball for her. I remember watching her run, watching her trust me, and it hit me so heavy in my heart. She depended on me. Even when I didn't trust myself, even when I felt unstable, even when I didn't value myself, I valued her. After I left the shelter, I got a small apartment. I started a job that I already hated. And one night during training, a coworker mentioned a website for adult work. I was curious, and my judgment wasn't steady, so I abandoned caution. I created a profile. Before I go any further, I do want to say something clearly. This podcast is not anti-sex work. It is anti-coercion. It is anti-manipulation. It is anti-exploitation. There is a difference, and nuance matters. At the time, I didn't think of it as dangerous. I thought of it as possibility, maybe empowerment, maybe control, maybe a shortcut out of struggling. It had been extremely difficult learning how to support myself after my divorce. The struggle was real. Looking back now, that was where dysregulation met opportunity, where vulnerability met manipulation, where curiosity met grooming. A few days later, I was contacted by the man that I will call Mr. Charming, and I gave that man over 4 years of my life. I followed his instructions blindly for months. When we finally met in person, he pulled me close and he kissed me. Intentional, confident, possessive. And I remember my body responding before my mind did. It felt electric, like confirmation, like I had finally been chosen. And I melted. He made me feel powerful, seen, special. He mirrored my wounds back to me. If I doubted myself, he reassured me. If I felt invisible, he amplified me. If I felt unstable, he offered structure. He told me how to dress, how to present myself, how to carry myself. He taught me how to use my body as currency. And for the first time, I felt like I could control the narrative. I've never felt ordinary. I've always gotten attention from men, but most of the time they wanted one thing, and I didn't control that dynamic. Now, I said who, I said when, I said where, and I got paid. That felt powerful, like I was reclaiming something, like I wasn't being chosen, I was choosing. But empowerment without regulation can blur quickly, because what feels like control can slowly become surrender. At first, it felt structured, strategic, like we were building something together. He talked about growth, about expansion, about protecting the brand. And then, the money started flowing through him. I was the one exchanging my body for money, and the money wasn't mine. I met the men, I took the risk, and he received the profit. That was the expectation. No discussion, no negotiation. Walking into hotel rooms became routine, but routine does not mean safe. There was always the moment of scanning everything before I knocked. Exits, mirrors, energy, tone. Hypervigilance became a skill. I never knew who or what was going to walk through that door. A predator, an undercover cop, someone kind, someone unstable. That anxiety was real every single time. And after a while, I became numb to the danger. I downplayed it in my head. This is fine. You've done this before. You're in control. I reframed risk as routine so I could function. And I learned to dissociate. Dissociation is when your mind separates from your body to survive something overwhelming. I became an actress. Costume on, door opens, play the part, take a bow, costume off. The door became the curtain. That reframing made it survivable until it didn't. Eventually, my instability caught up with me, and I checked myself into a psychiatric hospital. Between the exhaustion and walking into that hospital, I had been having suicidal ideation. It was quiet, planned. I knew exactly how I'd do it. And what scared me most was how calm that thought felt. But Athena walked over and put her head on my leg, and I thought, who would take care of her? And somewhere inside me was something else. Not loud, not dramatic, a whisper. It didn't say, you're strong. It didn't say, everything will be okay. It just said, stay. Stay one more day. Stay one more hour. Stay long enough to see if this can change. So I admitted myself. I slept for the first 3 days. I was so tired. 4 years of bouncing around the country will do that to you. And then came the diagnosis, bipolar disorder. For the first time, my chaos had a name. It wasn't moral failure. It wasn't recklessness. The chaos had a name. And once it had a name, things started to make sense. There was a cause for the intensity, a cause for the impulsivity, a cause for the running, a cause for the extremes. Even though my medication wasn't right yet, and even though I was far from stable, I felt comforted. There was a reason, and if there was a reason, there could be healing. The whisper had been there all along. I just had to stop running long enough to hear it. And if you're listening to this and you've ever thought, how did I let this happen? How did I get here? I want you to hear me clearly. You are not stupid. You are not weak. You are not broken. Sometimes we survive the only way we know how. Sometimes we mistake intensity for safety. Sometimes we hand over control because we don't yet trust ourselves. But the fact that you're questioning it, the fact that something inside you feels unsettled, the fact that you're still here, that matters. There is a whisper inside of you, and it does not shame you. It does not condemn you. It simply asks you to stay, to pause, to look closer, to choose differently next time. I am still learning how to choose differently. I am still rebuilding. I am still becoming steady, but I am no longer running. And that alone is growth. This is the Phoenix Project. Here, we will explore trauma bonds, coercive control, spiritual manipulation, mental health and identity, addiction, and how to rebuild after chaos. If you are in crisis and need immediate support, you can call or text 988 in the United States. If you believe you may be experiencing coercion or trafficking, call 1-888-373-7888 for the National Trafficking Hotline. Or you can text HELP or INFO to 233-733. Also, if you'd like to provide feedback, share stories, or tell me your whisper moment, or just say hi, you can reach me at phoenixprojectvoices@gmail.com. Please note, I'm not able to provide crisis support or one-on-one counseling. However, I do deeply appreciate thoughtful messages and connection. Welcome to the Phoenix Project, where we turn pain into purpose. We're just getting started.